What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be doing another mock draft. You guys know what time it is. Of course, if you guys are new, like, comment, subscribe, because I do this stuff all the time. Been posting content every day for a while now, and you know what's even more special? If you guys want to see some quarterback rankings, those are going to be coming out soon. And if you guys like a team-specific mock draft, drop it down in the comment section below, because I've been finishing those all up, and we're going to be redoing them in the offseason, maybe with some co-hosts. So that should be fun. So lots of fun stuff going on with the channel, a new podcast and a website. All those links are down in the description, because on the podcast, Caleb Ellaby's draft scouting profile was just put up only for people who listen to that. So feel free to check that out. Regardless, let's kick in the video. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Again, this is all live because I think pre-recorded mocks are boring as hell. And honestly, I might start doing that a little bit next year, but I might still record it a different session like this so y'all can see the behind the scenes of it. So with the number one overall pick, the Jaguars are sitting here, and Aidan Hutchinson's performance, albeit not terrible statistically, sure, still got a pressure, still had a very high end rep there. He was schemed against, still, in my opinion, and within the top two, at least in this draft. And no, that number one is not Kayvon Thibodeaux. Okay. I don't know why, like, I'm an Oaks Christian alum. Okay. I went to school at KT. I know this guy. I'm even biased for him. He's not better than Aidan Hutchinson. Not at all. He's way more inconsistent, yada, yada. We'll talk about that when we get to his pick. This performance by Aidan Hutchinson opened up a new, interesting route at the number one pick. And something I used to do for a long time. Let's go Evan Neal here. So I want y'all to take a seat and listen to the reasoning behind why I think Evan Neal should be the number one pick. So think about it. You pass on Evan Neal, we go with Aidan Hutchinson here, right? Let's look at the second round. And second round, we're probably going to be looking at Trevor Penning at best. And to be honest, the more I watch him, the more worried I get. He's still a solid player. Just there's some big red flags to me. Bernard Raymond has a lot of development to go. So you're looking at nobody as a day one impact, a day one upgrade over what Cam Robinson could be. Now let's look at it the other way. Let's say we take Evan Neal here, right? We look down the line. Worst case scenario, we're having to draft Myjai Sanders, Kingsley Enagbare, Arnold Ebiketie. Those guys are all first round talents in my eyes. This is possibly the most loaded edge class that I've seen. Obviously, best case scenario, which honestly I think you might go in this round, is Jermaine Johnson. That guy he's on another level, like literally on another level. I think this guy's phenomenal. So with that being said, and with Aidan Hutchinson having a subpar performance, we have decided, we, as in myself, has decided that we're going to change it up a bit. Evan Neal goes number one overall. This guy is athletic as all get go. I've already fully graded him, watched all of his tape this year. This guy is, you look at him. He's 345 pounds at 6'7". He's extremely athletic. Has a little bit of some anchor that he gets pushed back on, but he reestablishes it very well. Refires his arms. And if anybody wants to say that he doesn't have the control of the other tackles in this class, they do not realize that these other tackles in the class like to hold the players to get control. Evan Neal is the one tackle in this class that I have seen that does not hold on a consistent basis. This guy is special. He's a special talent. I've not seen a tackle at his size with that type of athleticism. He is the biggest freak in this class, and there are some athletic freaks. Evan Neal goes number one overall. Pretty happy about that, especially given the lack of talent, in my opinion, of this tackle class. Number two, with the Lions. I think at this point, you're down to Aidan Hutchinson and KT. You know, the question is, who do you like more at this point? I think Aidan Hutchinson is solidified as the number one. That's why I'm going to be going with him. People say KT is a little bit more of a scheme fit. I say Aidan Hutchinson schemeless. So that's why I like him a little bit more. You know, again, if you want KT, these next two picks are going to be pretty self-evident at this point. So you guys can do whatever you want. Personally, I think Aidan Hutchinson goes before KT. He was number two in the Heisman voting, while KT was not. KT had some injuries over the entire year. Aidan Hutchinson had a broken leg last year, right? And he came back 5 times better than he was last year. This is a guy who works on himself. This Detroit, it's a blue collar city. They're working their asses off 24/7, right? Aidan Hutchinson works his ass off. Also, he's from Michigan. Makes sense. So Aidan Hutchinson going to the Lions right there. Number 3, I love getting Evan Neal for you guys. I know. I'm sorry about that. Not that sorry to the point where I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to pity you and Evan Neal. Not going to be the case because y'all know I don't like to bias any teams. That's not fun. It's not realistic either. So this spot, you have to go with the best player available. So that's going to be either KT or Kyle Hamilton. In my opinion, again, you could go that Jermaine Johnson route, but given how the Jaguars have already went offensive tackle, your best bet is going to be Myjai Sanders, Kingsley Enagbare, or Arnold Ebiketie. And I don't think many of them are going to make it to that spot. So I think the best option would be to go after KT. Because again, you could honestly go after Jordan Battle in that round, in the next round, but I think safety is something that is addressable in free agency. I do. Versus a guy who's a game record like KT. Again, you got a god in Kyle Hamilton there, but I'm going to be going KT here. And honestly, these two picks could be interchangeable as well, because this one is an obvious Kyle Hamilton. You know, for people who want to go against Kyle Hamilton saying that it's a safety, the Jets already picked a safety high. We saw what happened to Jamal Adams. He was already overpaid for it. It's the only reason why he was worth it. You haven't watched Kyle Hamilton. This guy's different than a big hitting safety out of LSU. This guy is a defensive god. I've never seen a defensive back with the ability to take over games like Kyle Hamilton. He's been injured this year, probably why he didn't go at number 3, even though that would have still been a good selection. But Kyle Hamilton, you just look at the stuff that you can't change. His height, 6'4". He's extremely fast. His IQ, incredible. And his coverage ability is very solid. He let up 1 touchdown against Cincinnati because he tracked the ball to where it should have been rather than where Desmond Ridder put it. Okay. So, you know, he is absolutely phenomenal and he's only going to trend up. So big fan of this, especially with Marcus May potentially be on the way out. I think this is a perfect fit. The Giants are sitting here and no, I'm not going to go Karlaftis over a bigger need, right? That's not realistic at all. That's not fair to you guys either. You guys need an offensive tackle. Ikem Ekwonu just fits what you guys are looking for. I have Charles Cross graded higher, but I think Ikem Ekwonu offers a lot more potentially. And funnily enough, he got a very high running blocking grade, right? On PFF, got a very high grade. But I thought that was his weak point. I thought he was a lot better in the pass pro. And if that's the case, that means he's already shown a lot in the run game to PFF and just to the analytics in general. And he's already shown a lot to me in the pass pro. That's a very good basis to build on. And that's exactly what this team needs. You need somebody who's going to be a game changer. Charles Cross could certainly be this pick. I just think the flashiness of Ikem, especially when he tests out, he's going to be pretty solid on his mobility. He's going to do obviously incredibly in terms of his bench press. He's the strongest offensive lineman I've seen, like over guys like Tevin Jenkins. This guy's upper body and lower body are just ridiculous. That's why I'm going to be going Ikem. Somebody I've been doing for quite a while now, but I think that's about where I do it. At number 6, this is a spot I'm considering Charles Cross for. Again, the problem is, do I think it's going to happen? I'm going to be doing a what I would do mock, but if it were what I would do, I'd be taking Charles Cross in a heartbeat. I think that's the biggest need of this offensive line, and I think he's the best guy for it. That being said, quarterback cannot be denied. That is a huge issue for this team. I don't think they're a very attractive landing spot for free agents. I don't at all. I don't know who the hell would want to go there who'd be an upgrade over Sam Darnold. Yes, you got a 5th-year contract extension on Sam. I don't think that means that you're going to not take a quarterback. So a guy like Kenny Pickett certainly should be in this conversation. He's a little bit older, but that means he's going to be able to step in day one and perform. Because for me, he's QB4. Spoiler on all the graphics and stuff that'll be coming out soon, which you guys can stay tuned for that. It's like, I just think he's going to get the most hype. I think he is. He has a solid arm. He has some amazing flash plays, some very good mobility. My comp for him, and I think it's perfect. I know a lot of people have this comp, Derek Carr. And honestly, Derek Carr is what this team could use. So would you rather, if you're the Panthers, trade 2 firsts for Derek Carr, or have 1 first for Derek Carr? The next year you have somebody who can be also an offensive lineman. For me, I would trade back from the spot. I would. I just don't see any teams trying to move up here. I don't. I don't see any guys being so worth it that a team is going to pull their draft capital and trade a first, a second, and a third. Like, there's just no one here. Even Derek Stingley, I don't believe in him that much. I don't think he's going to be able to get the hype that people are suggesting he will. So we're going to be going back with the good old Kenny Pickett here. Again, it is optional to go after after Charles Cross here, but Kenny Pickett is certainly not something to scoff at. If you get Derek Carr for your team, that is certainly not going to be a bad thing for you. And plus, we're going to see like Mobile when the Senior Bowl happens. That's going to change up the quarterback rankings big time if somebody decides to slip up and not be so bueno. Number 7 with the Jets. Again, this could be Charles Cross here. I wouldn't mind it at all. It's Cross or Karlaftis here. And honestly, again, I think the value of getting Cross is a little bit more than Karlaftis. And I've been doing Karlaftis to the Jets for a minute. Again, that would just probably mean that the Giants would end up going after Karlaftis. But, I'm not here to play fair. I'm not here to change it up all the time. I think the Jets actually go after Charles Cross. He's going to test very well. His anchor is a bit of a concern, but when you get to see him, I think he could put on a little bit more weight even, get comfortable in that body. He's able to move at a very high rate. I think that he's very well-rounded as well. I think that's something this Jets team desperately needs. So we're going to be taking him. Yes, the offensive tackle situation has not been terrible. But again, you look at what we call in economics is the opportunity cost. It's not even just in economics. In business in general, the opportunity cost of losing out on Charles Cross or going after Daniel Faalele in the next round or Max Mitchell, I think that is a big price to pay when you get a guy like Charles Cross to continue developing. Also, Mekhi Becton's had a ton of injuries. So going after a guy like Charles Cross, who is in my top 10 for sure, is totally worth it. Giants sitting here. At this point, I think you have to go with Karlaftis. We're back to the old route here with the Giants. I used to trade back and get Nakobe Dean, and I still think that's a great option. But when you get Karlaftis at this point, I think the value is a little too good. He's an excellent edge defender, exactly what the Giants would be looking for. Very nasty interior defensive lineman, 3-4 defensive end that you guys could use right there, kind of being able to fill for what you don't have at the moment. Yes, you guys might want extra outside linebacker blitzer. Yes, you might want a linebacker. But one, I think Azeez Ojulari can solve that pretty damn well. I know you guys think that too. 2, there's more than one round. Guys, always remember that. There's 4 rounds to this mock that I'm going to be doing. So just stay tuned. You can see how the draft develops and then make your decisions at the end of that. So number 9 with Washington, this has to be a quarterback too, guys. This has to be. There's no doubt in my mind. Sam Howell has earned his stripes. I don't think Matt Corral, with all of his injury history, is going to be taken above Sam. I don't. Sam Howell's my solidified QB1 at the moment. Some of the throws he makes are incredible. Yeah, some of his decisions are poor, but you can say that about every single one of these quarterbacks. If you want to put that as a red flag on Sam, put that on Kenny Pickett. Put that on Matt Corral, especially Desmond Ridder, Carson Strong, Malik Willis, who's my QB2. I love Malik. But Sam Howell has shown way more upside, way more consistency than almost every single one of these quarterbacks. So I love Sam. I think a lot of you guys saw that as well, so I'm pretty happy about that. I think he's the exact formula that Washington needs. Matt Corral is just going to be a little bit better version of Taylor Heineke. And honestly, do you want a little bit better than what you have? No, you want somebody who can change your franchise, someone who can actually elevate you to the next level. So Sam Howell, I think, is that guy. Number 10. Oh, here you go. You got Derek Stingley going to the Falcons. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I think that Andrew Booth is a better fit, but sometimes you got to take the guy with a little more upside. Andrew Booth has, I mean, if we're talking about problems with inconsistency with Derek Stingley, you might want to talk about Andrew Booth as well. He's had some pretty inconsistent weeks throughout this past year. Definitely a guy to keep on your radar. I think he will be going possibly next, but Sauce Gardner needs to be in this equation too. Absolute stud. But number 11, we got the Broncos. Broncos, this has to be a quarterback as well, I believe. I think that's a huge need. And you got teams even like the Vikings that could take a quarterback. The Browns, if the right quarterback falls, could take the right quarterback. The Eagles, they could, and even the Saints. So this has to be a quarterback pick. And looking at the guys available, you could definitely look at Matt Corral as a guy for you here. But I think the best option would be to extend, oh my God, Teddy Bridgewater. There we go. For one more year. And I think he might be on contract for one more year. Get Malik Willis out of Liberty. I think that when people dig into the tape, they realize how bad the line for Liberty is, how honestly poor the weapons are for Malik. And people will realize that he will have a better NFL career than he did college. And I think that's kind of true for a lot of these players. So Malik Willis going to the Broncos. Call me crazy. He's my number 2 quarterback. I think that honestly, that's where I got him at the end of the first and last time for the Broncos. I'm not so sure that he falls after doing all my deep dives. I'm pretty sure that the value of quarterback is going to be pretty high because after this round, not many very good options that could change your franchise. And I don't know if I'd want to bank on Malik Willis falling out of the first. Number 12 for the Vikings. So this is either Andrew Booth or Sauce Gardner. And I think they like what they saw in Sauce Gardner. Somehow TDN has the balls to put Sauce as a non-first rounder, non-top 32 after his performance against Jameson Williams. This guy's shut down. This guy's locked down. Sauce Gardner going to the Vikings, a team that does need a boundary corner and a guy who can definitely complete what they're looking for. My kind of comp for him, Patrick Peterson, a guy who can definitely lock down in press coverage. This guy's an absolute stud. He's going to be my cornerback 1, if I'm not mistaken, when all is said and done. Definitely one of my favorite guys in this draft. He has been since day 1. Love this kid. Good job for Sauce earning his stripes and being here. 13 for the Browns. I think this has to be a wide receiver here. So let's check. Let's do a quick little check to make sure that nobody is falling crazy. I don't think that's true. I think all is on board. David Ojabo could be a very interesting option here, but we're going to go Garrett Wilson out of the Ohio State University. I think that he's going to show out as the best wide receiver when, again, tape is rewatched. All these offices, I don't think people realize they don't start watching the tape until after the season's done. They don't start watching these guys in depth until after the season. So it's like if you ever hear rumors about like this team likes this guy, they haven't solidified their opinions until damn April. Okay. So just Garrett Wilson, watch out for him. I think he's Odell Beckham Jr. 2.0, and he's going to do it better than what OBJ did for this roster this year. So yeah, Garrett Wilson kind of giving, he's already had no excuses, but Baker Mayfield, no more excuses. Number 14, the Eagles. So this one, you could definitely look at a wide receiver, but I think, you could look at Booth as well. Booth's a stud. I think that the pool of the lineage to Roger McCreary is going to be what gets Roger McCreary drafted to this team. Honestly, when you look at it, his uncle was part of the team. So I think that is something that we have to factor in here. So I think they can pass on Andrew Booth to get somebody who's an absolute stud in David Ojabo. I think this team knows that it's not exactly there to a Super Bowl yet, and you can take some guys who can develop. David Ojabo's performance versus Georgia was much worse than Aidan Hutchinson's, but it's good enough to, like, if he doesn't get drafted here, I'm taking him for the Ravens. Like, the Ravens are going to just snag him up. So you got to look at the opportunity cost, because the Eagles can't just say, okay, I'm going to draft X here, and then we're going to let him fall to our next pick, because he's not going to be there. So David Ojabo has to be this pick. I love Jermaine Johnson. I have him actually above David Ojabo, but again, you're looking at the difference between a redshirt senior and a redshirt sophomore right here. A guy who's played, I think, football for 4 years, and a guy who's been playing it for a lot longer. This guy under the wing of some veterans on this roster, that's how you're going to be able to win for a long period of time. David Ojabo out of Michigan going to the Eagles. Number 15 for the Saints. I think, again, just pay Jameis for a year. Franchise tag him. He was doing a pretty damn good job at the beginning of the year. He beat Aaron Rodgers. Of course, that wasn't Aaron Rodgers' best game, but he performed. And I think that's exactly what you were looking for with the quarterback, to be a bridge quarterback. And do you want to go quarterback 3 here? No, you don't. And that's not even quarterback 3. This is quarterback 4. You got Kenny Pickett off the board. This got to be Jameson Williams. This is a guy you may say, oh, he didn't do that much in the game against Sauce Gardner. I think he did everything that he should have done to actually boost his stock besides go off for 200 yards. He proved that he could play as an effective wide receiver in a different way than as a deep threat. That to me is pretty damn spectacular. And it just shows that he's much more all around than just a deep threat. And I think that's what qualifies him for a top 15 pick. Number 16 with the Ravens. Ooh, I think I have a spicy pick here. Yeah, this is gonna be a hot one. So Tyler Linderbaum's still on the board. Not gonna be taking him here. He's probably gonna go next to the Steelers, if we're gonna be honest. Here we go. We're gonna do it. Travon Walker out of Georgia. This team needs somebody who can rush the edge as well as be a 3-4 defensive end. This guy can play both of it at an extremely high level. And, they did it last year with Odafe Owe, with getting this freak of nature who's just extremely raw. Travon Walker is that. I just love Travon so much. Great fit here. Eagles fans, I'm sorry about doing this to you, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going Tyler Linderbaum here. That being said, you could go Kenyon Green. I actually have him graded higher as a left tackle. So for a team like the Steelers that do need a tackle, I could do that. Either way, I think, because the question is, do the Steelers move Kenyon Green from center? I know that that's probably the right decision. The question is, would they do it? For me personally, I have Tyler Linderbaum above Kenyon Green by a long shot. Tyler Linderbaum is my number 5 guy in the draft at the moment. Absolute stud of a player. I think he would be an excellent option here. Of course, you could look at a quarterback like Matt Corral. Don't think after all the injuries he's going to be taken here. I don't. So right now I'm balancing between these two guys. Again, I don't give a damn what the Eagles are going to get. I don't. I just like drafting for you guys because I already know Roger McCreary and Devin Lloyd are going to make you happy, right? Like those two guys, or Traylon Burks, Roger McCreary, depending on who gets selected where, that'll make you happy. So I'm not really worried about that. The question is, what do I do for my Steelers? Because that's my favorite team right there. I have a lot of vested interest here. And I don't think they're going to let their ego get ahead of them and they're going to move out of that guard spot, or that center to guard move with the center spot. I think they go after somebody who they saw as an offensive tackle. I have him graded much higher than Petit Frere, and I don't think this roster is built for Petit. I don't. There's some very high-end reps and there's some very low-end reps from Petit Frere, and I think that's what's going to get him drafted in the early to mid-second. There's some plays that he has that are like day 3 worthy, right? There's some games in there that's like, ooh, but you see some plays, you see some games of his, it's like that guy has top 10 potential. That's going to draft him around round 2, right? Inconsistency is round 2. Kenyon Green can play guard. I have him as a second-round guard, but I have him as a solidified first at left tackle, and I think he can play right tackle as well. But of course, with the way that Dan Moore's been playing left tackle, I don't think it's out of the question to move him and have a solidified threat with Kenyon Green. He also feels like more of a Steeler. He does. I think Kenyon Green might have went this pick anyways, but I just feel like he could be. Number 18 for the Raiders. I thought about this for a while, and I think that interior defensive line is not the right move. I have a feeling that the value is starting to be realized around the NFL. DeMarvin Leal's play this year has just been not too bueno. That's why he's here. We have corners on the board. And I think that the athletic upside with Andrew Booth, and I'm pretty sure, I forgot the guy's name, Mullen. He's from Clemson as well. So drafting Clemson corners, not out of the question. I think Martin Emerson breathes Raiders, and honestly, I'm pretty sure he's coming out in this draft too. If he comes out, he might be their first round pick because, of course, the Raiders like to draft a round ahead. I'm going to give him the nice luck of the draw. Give him Andrew Booth Jr. I think it's the right move. For the Eagles, so yeah, I think that when we're sitting here, the right move would be to go Tyler Linderbaum. Yes, Kelsey could play another year. He's been doing a lot better in the run game, right? He definitely could have another year or so in him. You have to draft for the future too. Injuries do happen. Jack Driscoll, excellent guy to fill in everywhere. He can play anywhere. That's great. That's what you need when injuries happen, right? This guy is a top 5 player in the class. I'm taking him. I'm taking him regardless. I also think linebacker is a better value in the second than the first. So number 20 with the Chargers. Now, this is an interesting one because you still have Chris Olave on the board. I think that'd be a phenomenal option. I also know that there are offensive tackles on the board. None of which I would take here. Maybe Nicholas Petit-Frere could be somebody that I would take here. That would be somebody who I'd be intrigued with. But for now, we're going to continue looking. Edgewise, you got Jermaine Johnson here, and ooh, that would be a nasty fit. That'd be a nasty fit. This guy is a beast. Okay, you can use him in that Uchenna Nwosu role. He weighs a little bit more than Uchenna, but I mean, this guy's phenomenal. At 265, this guy moves like he's 250, 245 pounds. Like, he has incredible pass rushing upside. You could, again, that wide receiver route is there. Corner as well is here. I don't think they go actually after one in this round. I could see a Kyler Gordon in round 2, definitely being more of a fit. Trent McDuffie certainly is more of a fit for this roster than Roger McCreary, which I think would fit a little bit more with what the Eagles are looking at. But, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong with Trent McDuffie in the first. If you guys want to see my thoughts on Trent McDuffie, I have an article on the website, the only article thus far, but I will be actually posting some website exclusive mock drafts coming up soon. So keep tuned for that as well. Of course, you could go DeMarvin Leal here. And yeah, you can go Jordan Davis. I think you can find a nose tackle anywhere. We're going to go DeMarvin Leal. That's an interesting one because Jerry Tillery just hasn't been it. And DeMarvin Leal can play on the edge as well. I think his value is a little bit too much at this point to pass on. Definitely an intriguing prospect to say the least, but that's where we're going to go. Number 21 with the Eagles, because I'm pretty set on going Roger McCreary here. But like at the same time, you think about Jaquan Brisker on this roster. Oof. I think Lewis Cine could be somebody who we could take in the second worst case scenario. I know Jordan Battle will be pushing around that territory. So it hurts because I think Jaquan Brisker is a really good fit on this roster, but oh man, that hurts. I know Roger McCreary's connection. I know how badly they need a corner as well. And given the value in the second, I think we got to go Roger. So again, going with a standard solid draft for the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, 3 first-round picks, it's excellent. Look at this. How interesting. So if TDN's watching, which they won't be, fix your shit. But at this point, you could look at wide receiver with Chris Olave for sure. You can get him as a true separator, kind of get the Devontae Smith for Tua. You can also look at an offensive tackle. I honestly don't think these guys bring much to the table. You're looking at all these guys. I don't think they bring much. It's like, I'm not really a huge fan of it. You could look at edge. I don't think you do. I don't think the value's right at this spot. So what I'm down to is, do you go Devin Lloyd or do you go Chris Olave? And if we pass on Chris Olave here, we're not drafting a wide receiver for the rest of the draft. If we pass on Devin Lloyd here, we probably are going to get Christian Harris next round. Or Chad Muma, Brandon Smith. I think that is a worthy risk to take. We're going to take Chris Olave. And if I get any Dolphins fans going down in the description asking why I would go wide receiver over linebacker, coming for y'all, because you guys need to listen. Also, you're taking them away from the Patriots, which is an in-division rival. So speaking of the Patriots, they're down to cornerback or linebacker here. I don't think they're going to be going after a crazy freak of nature like Treylon Burks. Just doesn't feel right for what the Patriots are. Devin Lloyd feels right. Over all these other guys, Devin Lloyd feels right. Yeah. We're going to go Devin Lloyd here. He's going to be the Dante Hightower replacement. He feels like a Patriot. He's very well all around. He plays very well all around. That's what I meant to say. He's good in coverage, solid in the blitz, good against the run. Definitely somebody who's worth this pick. And Nakobe Dean's falling, and I don't know why. I love him. I have him as a top 15 prospect. So might have a team move up for him at this point. But for the Arizona Cardinals, might make a splash pick here. Because, yeah, I might do it. We're going to go to Nakobe Dean. You talk about having this desire for an outside linebacker rusher who can also drop into coverage. That's kind of Nakobe Dean, isn't it? Excellent in coverage, excellent on the blitz. He is kind of like Jordan Hicks in a way. I'm a big fan of him. He's young too. Take the value. Yeah, it's the biggest changeup I've ever done for the Cardinals, so I have no idea how that's going to be received, but it's a guy who I think you're going to use as an outside linebacker rusher as well as cover linebacker. He's going to be fun to play with. I got to admit, that doesn't sound right, but y'all know what it means. So at number 25 with the Bills, I think at this point, Treylon Burks could definitely be this pick. It's down to two players. It's down to Treylon Burks and Tyler Smith. I think Tyler Smith, I don't think he's a redshirt junior. I think he's a redshirt sophomore. But regardless, he is phenomenal. He's a phenomenal athlete as like in terms of strength. Not the best on the move. This is why you're using him as a guard, right? But he's played left tackle. He has a holding problem, but that's because people keep bending around him because he's 330 pounds. I think the value in the second might be pretty good at the offensive guard spot compared to what you can get at this spot. Treylon Burks is going to be an interesting one. You can go after Drake London here, but I think Treylon Burks is going to get a little bit of hype. I don't like his fit on this team, but I think, again, you got to get best player available. And this is a team that could use him in a lot of ways. And it's a good guy for Josh Allen to throw down the field to. So we're going to be going Treylon Burks here out of Arkansas. Number 26 with the Bengals. So I think this pick should be honestly a corner. I do. You know, when you look at it, offensive tackle, you got Trevor Penning here. And I watched him. I honestly don't think he's a first round pick. I don't. He has actually some really big flaws in the run game. He does. I'm not a huge fan of him. You could go after Nicholas Petit-Frere here. You could. But I'd rather go after Max Mitchell in the second or third than go after these two guys right here. That's just my opinion. You know, honestly, I think that's probably the right move anyways for the Bengals. I don't think they're going to target tackle in the first. You could go after Tyler Smith here. Again, you could do that to be able to fill up one of those guard spots. Pretty sure Quentin Spain is playing pretty well this year. You guys can correct me on that. But I think corner is the right move. You know, Kyler Gordon or Kyrie Elam is the real question here. And honestly, both of them have their merits. I think Kyrie Elam at his size and weight might outclass Kyler Gordon. Like those 2 extra inches might actually be the difference. Kyrie Elam's shown what he could be as a top prospect. And he's playing around with Kyler Gordon right now. I think he gets his mojo back, and I think he's going to be able to be a steal at this point in the draft. And, of course, Cowboys, you know what time it is. It's Jaquan Brisker time. Yeah, this team uses safeties like it's no other, and you could use them at linebacker for fuck's sake, right? You have Penn State guys that, obviously, the big one from last year, Micah, you're using him at edge at linebacker. Why don't you use the safety at linebacker sometimes too? It's what you got Neal for. So Jaquan Brisker can play linebacker. You can play safety. He's good in coverage. He's extremely athletic. It's a good spot for him. 28 with the Buccaneers. So this is a spot I could see them going after a wide receiver at this point. Like Jahan Dotson, Drake London might be too good to pass on. You could see him going after a linebacker here. Don't think anybody's worth it. Interior defensive line, you got Jordan Davis. They might go Jordan Davis though, but again, that kind of defeats the purpose of Vita Vea. So we're actually going to go with the pick I haven't never done for them before. We know Drake London out of USC. He's a big-bodied target who's really good after the catch. You know, having the Twin Towers there with Mike Evans and Drake London at 6'5", that might be something to keep Tom Brady going. So that's what you need to do. It's what you need to do for your quarterback. Number 29 with the Chiefs. I think this has to be an edge pick. And we're going to have, it's between these two guys. We have Jermaine Johnson go. I'm just such a big fan of Jermaine Johnson. If it were me, and it's spoiler, and what I would do mock draft, he's going right here. Latest, he's going 14. I love him. Number 30 with the Lions. I think the right move here might be to capitalize on Jahan Dotson, because he's a boundary wide receiver who can work really well with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Very good separator. Just I don't have him that high personally. You could look at a quarterback here like Matt Corral. I'm a little bit worried that he does fall a bit further. You know, again, you guys sat here. You guys are waiting. That injury certainly, it's not a bad injury. It's just repeated injuries. Like, I'm not saying because Matt got that injury, he's going to fall more. No, because he's had that injury multiple times, he's going to fall. You could look at safety here as well. If Jaquan Brisker were here, I'd take him in a heartbeat. But I think the best value on the board is either going to be Matt Corral or Jahan Dotson. And for me, I would want to go Matt. I would. So we very well might. But I'm thinking I might want to well, I'm looking at it, and we're not going to get a wide receiver besides George Pickens with the next pick, right? I know some people like David Bell here. We're going to go Jahan. We're going to go Jahan Dotson. I think you have to. You have to be able to get something in this wide receiver core. I'm not a huge fan of David Bell. George Pickens is my next guy, and I don't know if you guys are confident in a guy who gets nine yards during a semifinal. And for me, I thought he did an excellent job during the game. Just because he doesn't produce doesn't mean you don't play well. But Jahan Dotson, certainly a guy who's been one-man armying his entire offense for a little while. Somebody who could definitely help out on this roster. For the Titans, honestly, I'd consider Matt Corral here. I would. In a heartbeat, I would. This team could also look at linebacker. You know, it's a tough position. I would also look at wide receiver, but again, the value is just not good enough, guys. The value is not good enough. So for that, I actually want to trade out of this pick. I do. I'm not looking for a team that wants a nose tackle because I think Jordan Davis might go to the next pick. Just you can pair him up with Kenny Clark. That'd be pretty fun. But I think this is a good spot for a team trying to trade up to get a quarterback at the end of the first. And see a team that could do that. Oh, Seattle could do that. Russell Wilson wasn't that injury prone, but I can see Seattle doing it. They do need a quarterback. You can see even I don't think the Falcons have the guts to do it. The Saints could offer a buttload to be able to move up there. And that's a good value. The Steelers could do it. They could. You know, I think that there's bigger needs on the Steelers that they need the picks for. But again, that doesn't mean that you just classify it out. And of course, I don't think the Titans would trade to a rival in the Steelers. It's kind of been a little bit underrated rivalry at this point. So we have teams that probably do want to move up. Again, the Steelers as well as the Seahawks for a quarterback. And honestly, the Seahawks are going to be the ones making the ballsy move because they're also closer in a different conference. So there they are, bastards in the corner. I think that's the right move. The Titans I don't see a good enough value for them right now. I don't. And for the Titans, they're going to be receiving a next year second round pick, offering one of their fourths in return. So yeah, you guys are accumulating extra draft capital for the next draft. And that's a good sign. You know, you got to do that. And this leaves Matt Corral going to the Seahawks. I mean, for next year's second, it's honestly not bad. You're trading basically 2 seconds to go to the end of the first. Plus, Titans fans, you got an extra second just to be here. Cool. Number 32 with the Packers. This might have to be an edge player as well because there's some really good ones in this class. Kingsley Enagbare and Arnold Ebiketie are among them. And I think Kingsley Enagbare is going to take the cake here. You kind of need to go that route after losing both the Smiths at the end of the year. So that's going to be the mock draft, guys. Let me know what you think. Stay tuned for tomorrow for round 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.